Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2,000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free English ebook before it's gone. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is try on. Try on. Try on. The phrasal verb try on is used when we're shopping for clothing. When we want to see if something fits our body or suits something else about us, we usually test it out. And when we test out a piece of clothing, we call it trying that piece of clothing on. We go into the fitting room and put on the shirt or the skirt, and this process is called trying something on. Here's an example sentence. When you buy new clothes, it is a good idea to try them on first. When you buy new clothes, it is a good idea to try them on first. When you buy new clothes, it is a good idea to try them on first. Put on. Put on. Put on. We use the phrasal verb put on for clothing most of the time. So we use put on to mean wear something. Something you are not wearing now, we think you should add it to your body. So we use the expression or the phrasal verb put on to mean add that to your body. You can think of this like put that thing on your body. So here's an example sentence. Put on your jacket because it's cold outside. Put on your jacket because it's cold outside. Put on your jacket because it's cold outside. Clash. 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 Clash is a word that means that two things do not go together. We can use it in a few different situations to describe two things that are maybe in an argument or that are not going well together or fitting well together. When we use it to talk about clothes, it usually refers to two colors or two styles that do not match or they do not suit one another. So maybe one thing is very bright and another thing is very, very pale and it doesn't look good, or maybe the two styles are just kind of strange together. We can use the word clash to describe this situation. Here's an example. If you wear that shirt, it will clash with the pants you bought. If you wear that shirt, it will clash with the pants you bought. If you wear that shirt, it will clash with the pants you bought. Wash clothes. Wash clothes. Wash clothes. The expression wash clothes is used to refer to doing the laundry. This is another way to express that. So washing your clothes means using soap and water to clean your clothes. As I said, we also use the expression to do laundry to describe this. Both are completely correct. Here's an example. The woman is washing clothes in the washing machine. The woman is washing clothes in the washing machine. The woman is washing clothes in the washing machine. Sew. 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 The verb sew refers to using a needle, a very, very small, thin, sharp piece of metal, and thread, a very, very thin string, to connect two pieces of fabric together, or, for example, to add a button to another piece of fabric. So we use the verb sew to talk about this process. Here's an example. The person is sewing. The person is sewing. The person is sewing. Mend. 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 The verb to mend means to fix, but we often use the verb to mend when we talk about clothing and accessories, other kind of small things like this that we usually need to use our hands in some kind of detailed process to fix. So for example, a hole in a garment or maybe a rip in a seam, these are things we might use the verb mend to talk about fixing. Here's an example. The person is mending the cloth. The person is mending the cloth. The person is mending the cloth. Knit, knit, knit. To knit means to use two knitting needles, two very big needles that could be made of wood or could be made of metal, and a piece of string or a piece of yarn to create a fabric. So knit is one type of fabric that is very, very commonly used for warm weather clothing, like sweaters and hats. Here's an example. I knit a pair of gloves for my boyfriend. I knit a pair of gloves for my boyfriend. I knit a pair of gloves for my boyfriend. Dye, dye, dye. The verb to dye refers to changing the color of something. We usually use dye when we talk about fabrics and when we talk about our hair color. So when you talk about wanting to change your hair color or maybe even using something to change the color of a shirt, for example, you can use the word dye to talk about that. Here's an example. I want to dye my hair red. I want to dye my hair red. I want to dye my hair red. Fit a garment. Fit a garment. Fit a garment. The expression fit a garment refers to finding the correct fit for someone's body. So if you go to a store and you buy a basic t-shirt, that shirt is not specially made for you. If you want to get a t-shirt or other garment, other piece of clothing that's specially made just for you, you can go to a specialty store where they will fit a garment to you. This means they will measure you and put pins in places and create something just for you. We use fit a garment to refer to this process. Here's an example. Fit a garment at the tailor's. Fit a garment at the tailor's. Fit a garment at the tailor's. Match. 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 A match is something that we can use to start a fire. A match is usually a small piece of wood with often a red or a blue ball shape on top. And we can use it in this motion against the side of a box to create flame, to create a fire. So one of these is called a match. Here's an example. There is one match outside the matchbox. There's one match outside the matchbox. There is one match outside the matchbox. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the words that refers to testing clothes when you go to a fitting room, for example? Try on. Try on. And how to say the word that refers to adding a piece of clothing to your body. Put on. Put on. What about the word that means two things that don't really go together, like two colors or two styles that don't seem to fit? Clash. Clash. Do you remember how to say doing the laundry or specifically using soap and water to clean things like your shirts and pants? Wash clothes. Wash clothes. Let's try the word that refers to using a needle and thread to attach two pieces of fabric together. Sew. Sew. What about the word that means fixing something, especially fixing things like holes in clothes or rips in seams? Mend. Mend. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the word that refers to using two big needles and a piece of string or yarn to create a fabric. Knit. Knit. Another one. What about the word that's used to refer to changing the color of a fabric or changing the color of your hair? Dye. Dye. Do you remember how to say the word that means going to a specialty store to get a piece of clothing made specially for you? Fit a garment. Fit a garment. And finally, do you remember how to say the word that means a small piece of wood with a small ball at the top that's used to start a fire? Match. Match. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is short. 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 Short is the opposite of long. We can use short to talk about an object, how long an object is, and we can also use it to talk about how tall or not tall someone is. If someone is not tall, we can describe them as short. Here's an example. The father is tall, but the son is short. The father is tall, but the son is short. The father is tall, but the son is short. Brand. 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 A brand is a company, usually, that creates a specific product. And a brand is usually known for something, for example, like a specific style, a certain level of quality, a special look, or maybe a special smell or taste, depending on the industry. So a brand has an image and a feeling associated with it, and it's usually made by a company. Here's an example sentence. Which brand of computer are you looking for? Which brand of computer are you looking for? Which brand of computer are you looking for? Size. 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 Size refers to how big or how small something is. We can use size to talk about physical objects, like maybe a house, for example, or something small that we wear on our body as well. So we can use numbers to talk about size. We can use words like big and small to talk about size, but size refers to how large or small something is. Here's an example. What size pants do you wear? What size pants do you wear? What size pants do you wear? Style. 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 Style refers to a specific way of doing something, usually something that is visual, something that we can see, or something that we can hear, or taste, or experience. So we use the word style to talk about art and creativity a lot. Our favorite artist has a specific type of style, which means they do their art or their creative work in a specific way that is very unique to them. Here's an example sentence. Some people develop a style of their own. Some people develop a style of their own. Some people develop a style of their own. Fashionable. 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 Fashionable means something that has good fashion qualities about it. We can describe people as fashionable, which means they have a good sense of fashion. And we can describe places as fashionable as well, which means that at the moment they match the trends or they match the styles that are very popular. So when something or someone is considered fashionable, it's considered a good thing. Here's an example. Reading trendy magazines will inform you as to what is fashionable. Reading trendy magazines will inform you as to what is fashionable. Reading trendy magazines will inform you as to what is fashionable. Loose. 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 Loose is an adjective. This is the opposite of tight. We use loose a lot when we talk about our clothing. So something that is loose is very easy to wear. It does not fit closely to the body. It's something that we can put on and that will often flow around the body very easily. It's not going to be very, very close to you. So it's something that we can wear comfortably. Here's an example sentence. A loose-fitting garment can make you look larger. A loose-fitting garment can make you look larger. A loose-fitting garment can make you look larger. Tight. 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 Tight is the opposite of loose. Something that is tight, or clothing that is tight, is something that fits very, very closely to the body. It's something that doesn't flow a lot. It fits very, very closely, very, very close to the skin. So we can often see the shape of our body when we wear things that are tight. Here's an example. These boots are too tight. These boots are too tight. These boots are too tight. Neat. 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 Neat can be used in a couple different ways as an adjective. In a very general sense, neat can mean great or nice. We can also use neat to mean the same thing as tidy or clean or put together, very organized. When we talk about something relating to clothing and someone says you look very neat, it can mean it looks nice, or it can mean that you look very put together, like your whole outfit goes together very well and you look, in a good way, very nice. So here's an example. That suit gives you a neat look. That suit gives you a neat look. That suit gives you a neat look. Silk. 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 Silk is a little bit more of an expensive material. Silk is a fabric that we use to make clothing, often very luxurious feeling clothing. It's used for dresses and tops and skirts. We see it a lot in women's clothing, and you might also see it in things that you might use in your household, like, for example, maybe pillows or something that you use on your bed. Here's an example. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. Medium. 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 Medium is one of the most basic sizes that we have for clothing. Generally, when we are shopping for clothing, we can choose from small, medium, and large sizes, and there might be an extra small or an extra large, or maybe even extra extra small and extra extra large, and maybe even more beyond that. Medium is generally somewhere right in the middle of all the sizes. Here's an example. When I lose weight, I wear a medium shirt. When I lose weight, I wear a medium shirt. When I lose weight, I wear a medium shirt. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that is the opposite of tall? We use it to talk about how long something is or how not tall a person is. Short. Short. And do you remember how to say the word that refers to a company that makes a specific style of product? Brand. Brand. What about the word that refers to how big or how small something is, expressed in numbers or with words like big and small? Size. Size. Do you remember how to say the specific way a creative person makes something, like fashion or an artwork or perhaps even food? Style. Style. Let's try the word that means something or someone that demonstrates good sense in terms of what is currently trendy. Fashionable. Fashionable. What about the word that refers to something that does not fit very close to the body, something that is very flowy and easy to wear? Loose. Loose. Now, let's see if you remember how to say something that fits very closely to the body, something that might be difficult to put on. Tight. Tight. Another one. What about the word that can mean nice or great, but can also mean looking very tidy and well organized? Neat. Neat. Do you remember how to say the fabric that is often used for more luxurious things, like beautiful dresses, skirts, and tops? Silk. Silk. And finally, do you remember how to say the size that's usually right in the middle of all the other sizes that you can buy when shopping for clothes? Medium. Medium. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is large. 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 Large is a very common clothing size. Large is usually the size that is the next size up from medium. Here's an example. I would like these pants in large. I would like these pants in large. I would like these pants in large. Extra large. Extra large. Extra large. Extra large is the size usually that comes after large. So if you need a size that is a little bit bigger than a regular large size, you might look for the size extra large. Here's an example. People that are big wear size extra large clothing. People that are big wear size extra large clothing. People that are big wear size extra large clothing. Handmade. 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 Handmade refers to something that is literally actually made with someone's hands. So a specialized person, like a craftsperson, has used their hands and some tools to create something. This might be jewelry, it might be luxury goods, it might be something that you find when you're traveling somewhere that's very unique. Anything that is handmade was made by a real person with their two hands. Here's an example. Handmade bags can be very expensive. Handmade bags can be very expensive. Handmade bags can be very expensive. Cotton. 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 Cotton is a very common fabric. So we use cotton to create clothes that usually breathe, which means it's very easy for air to go in and out of these types of clothes. We typically wear cotton in warmer seasons, like in spring and in summer. Here's an example. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. Wool. 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 Wool is a very warm kind of fabric. We get wool by collecting it from sheep. So wool is something that is special because it can stay warm and keep you warm even if it gets wet. Here's an example. Wool is derived from sheared sheep fur. Wool is derived from sheared sheep fur. Wool is derived from sheared sheep fur. Linen. 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 Linen is a fabric that is very commonly worn in summer because this is another type of fabric that breathes very well. This is a very light fabric. The air can pass through it very easily, and it tends to be a little more expensive than cotton. Here's an example. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. The textile factory creates fabrics from cotton, linen, and silk. Gown. 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 A gown is a very formal type of dress. When we wear gowns, it's usually to a special event, like a very, very luxurious party. Perhaps a famous event is coming to town and you need to look your best for it. Gowns are typically not worn every day. They're worn for very, very special occasions, and they look beautiful, gorgeous, sometimes very, very over the top. Here's an example. She wore an elegant gown to the prom. She wore an elegant gown to the prom. She wore an elegant gown to the prom. Tuxedo. 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 A tuxedo is a very formal thing for men to wear. So a tuxedo usually has a few pieces. There's often a jacket and a vest and a pair of pants with a basic white shirt underneath. They can be made out of beautiful materials to be very, very luxurious. So a tuxedo is something that is only worn for very formal events, like very important parties, or perhaps a formal event like for something special, maybe a political event or an awards event. So these are not things that are worn for casual situations. Here's an example. You need to buy a new tuxedo. This one is too small for you. You need to buy a new tuxedo. This one is too small for you. You need to buy a new tuxedo. This one is too small for you. Sandal. 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 A sandal is a casual type of shoe. A sandal can have a few different styles, but usually we can see the person's feet when they wear sandals. So the toe part of the shoe is typically open, or maybe even the back part of the shoe is open as well. Sandals are often worn to the beach. Here's an example. I wear sandals in the summer. I wear sandals in the summer. I wear sandals in the summer. Boot, boot, boot. A boot is a type of footwear that is usually worn in colder months, like in autumn and in winter. Boots cover the whole foot and often will come up really high on the leg, past the ankle sometimes, or even up to the knee, or some boots even go past the knee, all the way up to the thigh. There are many different types of boots, like some that you can wear in the rain. Here's an example. These boots cost 200 euros. These boots cost 200 euros. These boots cost 200 euros. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that refers to the size that comes after medium when you're searching for clothing? Large. Large. And how to say the size that is the next level up from large? Extra large. Extra large. What about the word that refers to something that was created by someone using their two hands and some tools and specialized knowledge? Handmade. Handmade. Do you remember how to say the word that refers to the fabric that is very common and that is usually worn in summer and spring because the air can flow through it easily? Cotton. Cotton. Let's try the word for the fabric that comes from sheep and that is very warm. Wool. Wool. What about the word that refers to the slightly more expensive fabric that we often wear in warm months because it's very breathable and the air can flow through it easily? Linen. Linen. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the word for a very luxurious dress that women wear to formal parties. Gown. Gown. Another one. What about the word for the formal wear that men wear to formal events? Tuxedo. Tuxedo. Do you remember how to say the word for the very casual type of shoe that we often wear in summer? Sandal. Sandal. And finally, do you remember how to say the word for the footwear that we usually wear in colder months that covers the entire foot? Boot. Boot. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is slipper. 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 A slipper is a very casual type of footwear. We usually wear slippers just inside our homes or maybe inside hotels. They're inside-only shoes that are usually very comfortable. They're very soft and often very fluffy. Here's an example. I can't understand how you always lose your slippers. I can't understand how you always lose your slippers. I can't understand how you always lose your slippers. Makeup. 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 Makeup is very popular. Makeup refers to cosmetic products that we put on our face and other parts of our body for skincare purposes or for creative and artistic purposes, whatever. People like to wear makeup for lots of different reasons. We can put it on our eyes, on our lips, on our cheeks, perhaps even on our neck. People like to go crazy with this. Here's an example. She puts on her makeup every morning on the train. She puts on her makeup every morning on the train. She puts on her makeup every morning on the train. Lipstick. 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 Lipstick is a specific type of makeup. Lipstick is used around the mouth. It is used on the lips. Lipstick refers to a stick of colored product that we place on the lips. Here's an example. Lipstick will enhance the shape of your lips and mouth with color. Lipstick will enhance the shape of your lips and mouth with color. Lipstick will enhance the shape of your lips and mouth with color. Eyeliner. 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 Eyeliner is a cosmetic product that is used around the eye. Usually, eyeliner is a very, very thin product, and it's used right at the edge of the eyelid. So we can use this to create very, very fine, detailed shapes. Here's an example. Outline the shape of your eyelid with a thin line of eyeliner. Outline the shape of your eyelid with a thin line of eyeliner. Outline the shape of your eyelid with a thin line of eyeliner. Blush. 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 Blush is a cosmetic product. It's usually a pink-colored product that is placed usually on this part of the cheeks. So it makes it look like there's natural color on this part of the face. This word is also a verb. To blush means to feel embarrassed and to have that kind of pink color come to your cheeks naturally. So I said we do it when we feel embarrassed, but also when we feel excited about something, or perhaps even when we just feel a little bit shy. Here's an example. A hint of blush will add some color to your cheeks. A hint of blush will add some color to your cheeks. A hint of blush will add some color to your cheeks. Nail polish. Nail polish. Nail polish. Nail polish is a type of cosmetic product that is used on the nails. We can use it on our fingernails, on the nails of our hand, and we can use it on our toenails, the nails on our toes. So they can come in so many different colors. I have some on my hands right now. Here's an example. Some nail polish removers will ruin furniture if spilled. Some nail polish removers will ruin furniture if spilled. Some nail polish removers will ruin furniture if spilled. Undershirt. 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 An undershirt is a shirt that you wear under your main shirt for the day. So some people like to wear an undershirt to cover certain parts of their body or maybe to prevent certain problems that they might have. So for example, maybe they have skin irritation from a certain type of fabric, or maybe they want to avoid kind of sweat-related problems. Different people wear undershirts for different issues. Here's an example. Wearing an undershirt will help you avoid sweating through your shirt. Wearing an undershirt will help you avoid sweating through your shirt. Wearing an undershirt will help you avoid sweating through your shirt. Nightgown. 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 Nightgown is a word that refers to a dress that is used just for sleeping. So the word gown often has this image of being very luxurious and beautiful. So you might see some kind of nightgowns that do have that more luxurious look about them. But we also use nightgown to refer to just a very, very casual dress that we use for sleeping. Here's an example. My grandma loves sleeping in a nightgown. My grandma loves sleeping in a nightgown. My grandma loves sleeping in a nightgown. Panties. 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 Panties refers to underwear that is usually worn by women. Panties can be very casual, they can be very sexy, they can be luxurious. There are many different styles. Here's an example. You can find panties in the underwear section. You can find panties in the underwear section. You can find panties in the underwear section. Swimsuit. 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 Swimsuit usually refers to something that is worn for swimming or worn in the water by women. Swimsuits have many different styles. They might be in one piece, so there's no break between the top and bottom, or they might be sold as a two-piece, where there's a top piece and a bottom piece. This style is called a bikini. Here's an example. The woman is wearing a swimsuit. The woman is wearing a swimsuit. The woman is wearing a swimsuit. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that refers to the very casual type of footwear that we only wear in our homes? Slipper. Slipper. And how to say the word that refers to cosmetic products that we put on our face or other parts of our body. Makeup. Makeup. What about the word that refers to the type of cosmetic product that we use on our lips? Lipstick. Lipstick. Do you remember how to say the word for the very thin, fine product we use around our eyes? Eyeliner. Eyeliner. Let's try the word that refers to the pinkish color that appears here on the cheeks. This is a type of cosmetic product. Blush. Blush. What about the word that refers to the colors we can put on the ends of our fingers or the ends of our toes? Nail polish. Nail polish. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the word for the shirt that you wear under another shirt. Undershirt. Undershirt. Another one. What about the word that refers to a dress that is used for sleeping? Nightgown. Nightgown. Do you remember how to say the word that refers to underwear that are usually worn by women? Panties. Panties. And finally, do you remember the word for clothing that you wear when you're ready to go in the water? Swimsuit. Swimsuit. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is blouse. 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 A blouse is a very common piece of clothing that usually women wear. It's worn on the top part of the body. It's a nice shirt that is often worn to work or to more formal or businessy events. Here's an example sentence. Silk is a nice material for a blouse. Silk is a nice material for a blouse. Silk is a nice material for a blouse. Miniskirt. 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 A miniskirt is a very popular piece of clothing, usually worn by women. It's a skirt, which means it's worn on the lower half of the body, but mini refers to the length. A miniskirt is a very short skirt. Here's an example sentence. Most people do not look good in miniskirts. Most people do not look good in miniskirts. Most people do not look good in miniskirts. Day. 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 Day refers to the time period of 24 hours. It begins at midnight and it goes throughout the afternoon, throughout the evening, the morning, and around again to midnight. This is one day. Here's an example sentence. There are 24 hours in one day. There are 24 hours in one day. There are 24 hours in one day. Month. 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 A month is a unit of measurement for the year. There are 12 months in the year, January, February, March, and so on. Here's an example sentence. There are 12 months in a year. There are 12 months in a year. There are 12 months in a year. Holiday. 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 A holiday refers to a special day in a country or a culture or perhaps a region. A holiday often means a day off of work or school, and sometimes it's related to a religious or special cultural ceremony. Here's an example. New Year's is my favorite holiday each year. New Year's is my favorite holiday each year. New Year's is my favorite holiday each year. Day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow refers to not the next day, but the day following. So when we want to describe our schedule or talk about our plans, day after tomorrow is a really easy way to mean the day following tomorrow. Here's an example. I leave for Paris the day after tomorrow. I leave for Paris the day after tomorrow. I leave for Paris the day after tomorrow. Day before yesterday. Day before yesterday. Day before yesterday. So, day before yesterday is a quick and easy way to say not yesterday, but the day that came just before that one. So again, this is a very easy way to talk about something that is 2 days earlier in your schedule. Here's an example. If today is Sunday, the day before yesterday was Friday. If today is Sunday, the day before yesterday was Friday. If today is Sunday, the day before yesterday is Friday. Pillow. 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 A pillow is usually a very soft piece of fabric with lots and lots of very soft filling inside it. We put it under our heads when we go to sleep. Here's an example sentence. They'll bring you a pillow if you ask for one. They'll bring you a pillow if you ask for one. They will bring you a pillow if you ask for one. Noon. 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 Noon refers to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So noon usually is the time when people take lunch or take another kind of break in the day. Here's an example sentence. I go to lunch each day at noon. I go to lunch each day at noon. I go to lunch each day at noon. Midnight. 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 Midnight refers to 12 o'clock at night. So midnight you can think of as the middle of the night. Here's an example sentence. It's 1 minute to midnight. It's 1 minute to midnight. It's 1 minute to midnight. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that refers to a formal top made of nice materials, usually worn to work by women? Blouse. Blouse. And how to say the word for the type of skirt that's very short? Miniskirt. Miniskirt. What about the word that refers to the 24-hour period we experience throughout the week? Day. Day. Do you remember how to say the word for the unit of measurement we have for the 12 periods of the year? Month. Month. Let's try the word for a special day in a country or culture that's sometimes related to religion and that usually gives us a day off of work or school. Holiday. Holiday. What about the expression that refers to the day that comes after tomorrow? Day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the expression that refers to the day that came before yesterday. Day before yesterday. Day before yesterday. Another one. What about the soft materials that you put under your head when you sleep? Pillow. Pillow. Do you remember how to say the word that refers to 12 o'clock in the afternoon? Noon. Noon. And finally, do you remember how to say the word that refers to 12 o'clock at night? Midnight. Midnight. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is quarter to. Quarter to. Quarter to. Quarter to is an expression we use when we're talking about time. Quarter refers to 1 hour and a quarter of an hour, which is 15 minutes. Quarter to means 15 minutes until. Here's an example. 8:45 is the same as quarter to 9. 8:45 is the same as quarter to 9. 8:45 is the same as quarter to 9. Half past. Half past. Half past. Half past is another time expression. Half past is used when we talk about something that is 30 minutes after the top of the hour. So here's an example of this. 9:30 is the same as 9:30. 9:30 is the same as 9:30. 9:30 is the same as 9:30. Rug. 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 A rug is a very common and somewhat popular way to decorate your house. A rug is a piece of fabric, usually thick, that goes on the floor. It might be very bright colored. It may be a very neutral color. People have many different styles of rugs depending on their home and depending on their personal style. Here's an example. This rug is 3 meters by 5 meters. This rug is 3 meters by 5 meters. This rug is 3 meters by 5 meters. Quarter after. Quarter after. Quarter after. Quarter after is also used to talk about time. Just as with quarter to, quarter refers to 15 minutes, but we use after to talk about something that comes after the top of an hour. Here's an example. Quarter after 2. Quarter after 2. Quarter after 2. Purple. 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 Purple is one of the colors. Purple is a mixture between red and blue. Here's an example sentence. The amethyst stone is light purple. The amethyst stone is light purple. The amethyst stone is light purple. Fear. 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 To fear, a verb, refers to being afraid of something. So when we fear something else, we are afraid of that thing. Here's an example sentence. Vampires fear the sun. Vampires fear the sun. Vampires fear the sun. Resemble. 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 To resemble means to look like something else, or perhaps to sound like something else, or to feel like something else. When something resembles something else, they share characteristics in some way. Here's an example. They resemble each other. They resemble each other. They resemble each other. Respect. 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 Respect refers to having consideration for another person, often looking up to them. We can also use respect for things like rules and laws. Here's an example sentence. The boy respects his grandfather. The boy respects his grandfather. The boy respects his grandfather. Thank. 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 To thank means to express appreciation to someone or to express appreciation for something. When we thank someone, we say the expression thank you or other words of appreciation. Here's an example. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Love. 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 To love is used to express our highest form of appreciation for something. We usually use the word love when we talk about people who are very, very close in our lives, like our family members and our partners and our very close friends. We can also use it to talk about our favorite things to do. Here's an example sentence. I love my wife and family. I love my wife and family. I love my wife and family. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that means 15 minutes until something else? Quarter to. Quarter to. And how to say the expression that refers to 30 minutes after the top of an hour. Half past. Half past. What about the word for the decorative fabric that we put on the floor? Rug. Rug. Do you remember how to say the expression that means 15 minutes after something? Quarter after. Quarter after. Let's try the color that's a mix between blue and red. Purple. Purple. What about the verb that means to be afraid of something? Fear. Fear. Now, let's see if you remember the verb that means to have the same or similar characteristics as something else. Resemble. Resemble. Another one. What about the word that means to have admiration or to have consideration for another person? Respect. Respect. Do you remember how to say the verb that means to express your appreciation for someone? Thank. Thank. And finally, do you remember how to say the verb that means the highest level of appreciation you can have for someone, usually your family or your partner? Love. Love. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is need. 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 To need is a verb. Another way to say need is require. We use the verb to need when we talk about something that is necessary for our life, something that is necessary to live. Here's an example. We all need air and water to live. We all need air and water to live. We all need air and water to live. Read. 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 To read means to use your eyes to look at words written on paper or written on a screen and to get that information into our brain. This is called reading. Here's an example sentence. The woman is reading a magazine. The woman is reading a magazine. The woman is reading a magazine. Stand. 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 To stand means to move from a sitting position to one where you are on your feet, so you are not sitting. Here's an example sentence. The man is standing. The man is standing. The man is standing. Miss. 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 To miss as a verb has a couple of different uses. We can mean to miss someone, as in someone we would like to see but we cannot, and we can use to miss to mean that we did not hit something. So here's an example of the second meaning. Miss the target. Miss the target. Miss the target. Enter. 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 To enter is a verb which means to go inside, as in a building. We can also use to enter for things like schools and companies, which means to join. Here's an example. Please enter. Welcome to my home. Please enter. Welcome to my home. Please enter. Welcome to my home. Beautiful. 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 Beautiful is an adjective. We can use this word to talk about people, scenery, objects. It means something that is very pleasing. When we look at this thing or when we look at this person, we think that it's a very good example of beauty. It could be natural beauty. It could be something that's made. Something that looks very, very nice to our eyes can be beautiful. Here's an example. She's not only beautiful, but also very smart. She's not only beautiful, but also very smart. She's not only beautiful, but also very smart. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? What time is it is the basic question that we ask when we want the time. We want to know what time it is in a location, and so we ask this question. Here's an example. What time is it in New York when it's noon in London? What time is it in New York when it is noon in London? What time is it in New York when it is noon in London? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good is a very useful phrase. You can use this as a response when someone asks, "How are you?" You can say, "I'm good." You can also use this as a way to decline or to say no to something. If someone offers you something like a cookie or a dessert and you don't want that, you can say, "I'm good." Here's another example. I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you. Awesome. 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 Awesome is an adjective. Awesome means very, very good, or very, very cool, or very, very good and cool. We use this word when we are very excited about something, when we want to express our maybe encouragement to somebody else. Here's an example. You finally got a promotion. Awesome. You finally got a promotion. Awesome. You finally got a promotion. Awesome. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it is the most basic way that you can express that you enjoy something. If someone asks your opinion about an activity or an object, you can say, I like it. It's very, very short and very basic, but native speakers use this expression a lot. Here's an example. When I can walk barefoot in the sand, I like it a lot. When I can walk barefoot in the sand, I like it a lot. When I can walk barefoot in the sand, I like it a lot. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the verb that means to require something or something that is necessary for our lives? Need. Need. And how to say the verb that means to use your eyes to look at written information and understand it? Read. Read. What about the verb that means to move from a sitting position to a position on your 2 feet? Stand. Stand. Do you remember how to say the verb that can mean to wish someone were there that you could meet and to not hit something? Miss. Miss. Let's try the verb that means to go inside something or to join an organization. Enter. Enter. What about the word that means something that looks very, very nice? It could be a person, it could be a location, it could be an object. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the question that asks about the current time in a location. What time is it? What time is it? Another one. What about the expression that means I'm doing well, or the expression you can use to decline something in a casual way? I'm good. I'm good. Do you remember how to say the adjective that means something that is very, very cool or very, very good or even both? Awesome. Awesome. And finally, do you remember how to say the expression that means I enjoy that thing or that thing makes me happy? I like it. I like it. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. This is an expression that we use in the most basic way to express when something is not good for us or we do not enjoy something. Here's an example. Stop adding so much garlic to every dish. I don't like it. Stop adding so much garlic to every dish. I don't like it. Stop adding so much garlic to every dish. I don't like it. Thanks. 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 Thanks is a very casual way to say thank you. We use thanks for everyday small favors that people do for us. We also use it when we go shopping and we want to express appreciation for the person at the store. Thanks. Here's an example. Thanks for all the help you've given me. Thanks for all the help you've given me. Thanks for all the help you have given me. Help. 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 Help is an expression that we use when we are in trouble or we have a problem of some kind. Usually, if we say help in a very loud voice, it sounds like a very serious situation. Maybe there's something dangerous happening. So we use help when we need support from other people. Here's an example. Help, a dog is attacking me. Help, a dog is attacking me. Help, a dog is attacking me. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry is an expression that we use to help other people in our lives when they feel nervous or scared or concerned. When we say don't worry, we want the other person to feel calm about the situation. Here's an example. Don't worry, we're all here to help you. Don't worry, we are all here to help you. Don't worry, we are all here to help you. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem is a casual expression that we use to mean everything is okay. In other words, there is no problem. We use this when we want to say you're welcome, like after we do someone a favor and they say thank you. If you want to sound casual, instead of you're welcome, you can say no problem. Here's an example. No problem. I was happy to do it. No problem. I was happy to do it. No problem. I was happy to do it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay is a phrase that we can use in a lot of different situations. It's okay can mean no problem, like we talked about before. It can also mean that this kind of thing, this situation or this preference is normal and fine. So we can use it just to show that whatever you feel or whatever you're experiencing, it's no problem. Here's an example. It's okay to be afraid of the dark. It's okay to be afraid of the dark. It's okay to be afraid of the dark. Really? 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 Really is a great word that you can use when you want to confirm something with someone else. If you hear an interesting piece of news and you don't quite believe it, or if you hear someone's opinion and you're kind of surprised, we use really to respond to check with the other person. Here's an example. Really? Do you mean that? Really? Do you mean that? Really? Do you mean that? Please. 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 Please is a very important word to know and use in English. It makes our requests and our favors and our situations in general a little bit more polite. So when you want to ask someone to do something, you should usually use please at the beginning of your request to make it sound softer. Here's an example. Please don't leave me here all alone. Please don't leave me here all alone. Please don't leave me here all alone. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me is an expression that you use after you made a mistake. If you want to say, I'm sorry to someone, and you want to express you are going to make a change, and you want the other person to be nice to you again, you can say, please forgive me. Here's an example. Please forgive me for the wrongs I have done. Please forgive me for the wrongs I have done. Please forgive me for the wrongs I have done. I'd like. I'd like. I'd like. I'd like is the beginning to a request, usually, like when you order something at a restaurant, for example. Make sure that you say I'd with that D sound. This is the reduced form of I would like. It's a polite way to say I want something. But many learners make a mistake with this. They say I like. This is incorrect. I'd like, because it's the reduced I would like. Here's an example sentence. I'd like to go to China someday. I'd like to go to China someday. I'd like to go to China someday. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that means I don't enjoy that thing or it's not good for me? I don't like it. I don't like it. And how to say thank you a little more casually. Thanks. Thanks. What about the word that you should use if you're in a dangerous situation and you need support from other people? Help. Help. Do you remember how to say the expression that means you don't need to be nervous or to be scared? You should be calm right now. Don't worry. Don't worry. Let's try the expression that means everything is okay. You can use this expression instead of saying you're welcome. No problem. No problem. What about the expression that means everything is normal? There's no problem. It's okay. It's okay. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the word that we use when we want to check our understanding with someone, like when we feel surprised. Really? Really? Another one. What about the word that we put at the beginning of our request to make it polite and soft? Please. Please. Do you remember how to say the expression you can use after you make a mistake and you want to repair your relationship with someone when you say you're sorry? Please forgive me. Please forgive me. And finally, do you remember how to say the expression that means I want, but it sounds a little bit more polite? I'd like. I'd like. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is true. 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 True is an adjective. This is the opposite of false. True means something that is real, something that is a fact. Here's an example. Is it true you won the tournament? Is it true you won the tournament? Is it true you won the tournament? False. 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 False is the opposite of true. False is an adjective. It means something that is not a fact or something that is not real. Here's an example. 1 + 1 = 5 is a false answer. 1 + 1 = 5 is a false answer. 1 + 1 = 5 is a false answer. Study. 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 To study is a verb, which means to look at information and to review information in order to learn something. Here's an example. I study every day at school and for 3 hours each night. I study every day at school and for 3 hours each night. I study every day at school and for 3 hours each night. Cook. 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 To cook is a verb, which means to prepare food in order to eat it. When we say cook, we usually mean using heat in some way to prepare the food, but we can also use cook to mean preparing things, for example, cutting things or mixing things. Here's an example. I like to cook dinner for my friends. I like to cook dinner for my friends. I like to cook dinner for my friends. Bath. 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 Bath is a noun. A bath can refer to the thing in many people's homes, like a large tub we can fill with water. We also use bath to refer to the action of cleaning your body inside this water. Here's an example. I'll take a bath at the hotel. I'll take a bath at the hotel. I'll take a bath at the hotel. 1 billion. 1 billion. 1 billion. 1 billion is a huge number. A billion comes after million, and before million is 100,000. Before that is 1,000. 1 billion means 1 plus 9 zeros. Here's an example. There are more than 1 billion people in China. There are more than 1 billion people in China. There are more than 1 billion people in China. 1 trillion. 1 trillion. 1 trillion. 1 trillion is a super, super big number. It's the next biggest after billion. So the order is million, billion, trillion. We have 3 more digits in this, which means after the 1, there are 12 zeros. Here's an example. The sun is more than 1 trillion miles from Earth. The sun is more than 1 trillion miles from Earth. The sun is more than 1 trillion miles from Earth. 100,000. 100,000. 100,000. 100,000 is the smaller number after million. So we go billion, million, 100,000. So this is 100 of 1,000. Here's an example. $100,000 per year is a good income. $100,000 per year is a good income. $100,000 per year is a good income. 1 million. 1 million. 1 million. 1 million is the next step up after 100,000. This is 1 plus 6 zeros. Here's an example. Over 1 million people live in Dallas, Texas. Over 1 million people live in Dallas, Texas. Over 1 million people live in Dallas, Texas. 100 billion. 100 billion. 100 billion. So 100 billion is between trillion and billion. So just add 2 zeros to 1 billion and you'll get 100 billion. Here's an example. You always have 100 billion excuses not to go out. You always have 100 billion excuses not to go out. You always have 100 billion excuses not to go out. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that means something that is real or something that is actual, a fact? True. True. And how to say the word that means something that is not real, not actual, not a fact? False. False. What about the verb we use to mean to look at information, to read, to listen, to try to understand something in order to learn it? Study. Study. Do you remember how to say the verb that means to prepare food in order to eat it? Cook. Cook. Let's try the word that means the water place that you can sit inside in your house and the act of cleaning your body inside that water. Bath. Bath. What about the very big number that has a 1 plus 9 zeros after it? 1 billion. 1 billion. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the super, super big number that is a 1 plus 12 zeros after it. 1 trillion. 1 trillion. Another one. What about the number that means 1 plus 5 zeros after it? People might use this when they talk about their income. 100,000. 100,000. Do you remember how to say the big number that is a 1 followed by 6 zeros? 1 million. 1 million. And finally, do you remember how to say the number that's between 1 billion and 1 trillion? 100 billion. 100 billion. Well done. See you next time. Bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is 10 billion. 10 billion. 10 billion. Okay, 10 billion is a huge number. So it is 10 of 1 billion. Here's an example. I am never going to have $10 billion. I am never going to have $10 billion. I am never going to have $10 billion. 100 million. 100 million. 100 million. 100 million is another very big number, but it's not quite as big as 10 billion. This is 100 of 1 million. Here's an example. The bank lost $100 million. The bank lost $100 million. The bank lost $100 million. 100 trillion. 100 trillion. 100 trillion. Okay, 100 trillion is a huge number. More than 10 billion, way more than 100 million. 100 trillion means 100 of 1 trillion. This is even bigger than a billion. Remember, trillion is the next after billion. So this number is massive. Here's an example. There are more than 100 trillion stars in the universe. There are more than 100 trillion stars in the universe. There are more than 100 trillion stars in the universe. 10 trillion. 10 trillion. 10 trillion. Okay, another very big number. 10 trillion means 10 1 trillions. So this isn't as big as the previous number, but it's still huge. Here's an example. No company is worth $10 trillion. No company is worth $10 trillion. No company is worth $10 trillion. Checkered. 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 Checkered refers to a pattern. Maybe you know the game checkers, where there are patterns of squares on a board that's usually about this size. They're usually red and black, or maybe red and white. So checkered refers to a pattern of squares that alternates colors. Here's an example sentence. Checkered patterns are popular in shorts. Checkered patterns are popular in shorts. Checkered patterns are popular in shorts. Polka dot. Polka dot. Polka dot. Polka dot is another very popular pattern. You might notice this polka has an L in it, but we don't pronounce it polka. We say polka dot. So polka dot is a very, very popular pattern where there's a base color and lots of small dots on top of it. Sometimes they have different sizes. Here's an example. Clown outfits are often covered in polka dots. Clown outfits are often covered in polka dots. Clown outfits are often covered in polka dots. Pinstriped. 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 So pinstriped patterns, these are other patterns that are very, very popular, especially in work and professional situations. A pinstriped piece of clothing refers to a bit of clothing that has very, very, very thin vertical stripes on it. So we see this a lot with workwear shirts, for example. Here's another example. He wears his pinstriped suit every Friday. He wears his pinstriped suit every Friday. He wears his pinstriped suit every Friday. dot, dot, dot. A dot refers to just a small, usually circular mark on something. Earlier, we talked about the word polka dots, where the dot refers to the small circular mark in the pattern. So sometimes dots can be a part of a pattern, as in polka dots, but sometimes we have just a dot on our clothing when we get something on it, for example. So a dot can be part of a pattern, or it could be something else. Here's an example sentence. Let's review this one. Clown outfits are often covered in polka dots. Clown outfits are often covered in polka dots. Clown outfits are often covered in polka dots. Solid, solid, solid. Solid is an adjective that can have a few different meanings. When we use solid to talk about patterns, like with clothing, it means something that is just one color. There are no dots or stripes or marks. It's one color only. Here's an example sentence. My shirt is solid black. My shirt is solid black. My shirt is solid black. Striped, striped, striped. So, striped refers to something that has lines of alternating color. These stripes can be vertical stripes, up and down, or they can be horizontal stripes, left to right. We talked about pinstriped earlier, which means very, very thin stripes, but striped without pin can mean stripes of any size. Here's an example. The striped cat is playing with red yarn. The striped cat is playing with red yarn. The striped cat is playing with red yarn. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that means 10 of 1 billion? 10 billion. 10 billion. And how to say the word that refers to 100 of 1 million. 100 million. 100 million. What about the expression that refers to 100 of 1 trillion? 100 trillion. 100 trillion. Do you remember how to say 10 of 1 trillion? 10 trillion. 10 trillion. Let's try the word that refers to a pattern of alternating square colors. Checkered. Checkered. What about the words that refer to a pattern of dots? The dots can be different sizes. Polka dot. Polka dot. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the expression for something that has very, very small, thin stripes and is usually worn in professional situations. Pinstriped. Pinstriped. Another one. What about the word that refers to a small circular mark on a fabric? Dot. Dot. Do you remember how to say the word that can mean something made from one color only, like my shirt? Solid. Solid. And finally, do you remember how to say the word that means that two colors alternate? They can alternate in a horizontal pattern or in a vertical pattern. striped, striped. Well done! See you next time. Bye! Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2,000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free English ebook before it's gone.